Looking for a way to get healthy? The Chef You and I program has the answer. Kathryn Raaker and chefs from around the nation will teach even the most inexperienced how to cook. Come into their kitchen and watch them take ordinary foods with loads of calories and fat and turn those foods into healthier dishes. You will be the first to get tips and ideas on foods that are easy to prepare. Now let's join Kathryn and today's chef and learn how to make today's recipes.
Hi, this is Kathryn Raaker of the Chef You and I, and our guest chef today is my favorite pastor, Father Andrew Umberg. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you, Kathryn.
Well, we're doing our Thanksgiving show today, Father, and you're doing all the vegetables, correct?
Yes, some
And a
creative
salad?
ideas. And a salad, yes.
All right.
Good.
So when you see all the rest of the stuff that we're doing, I know you've only got a short time with us, so let's go for it. So anyhow, what's the first thing that you're going to make, Father?
Well, we're going to work on some carrots. It's not the most creative carrot recipe in the world, but it's an interesting one, I think. Okay. And then Well, then we're going to do some kale, and then some Brussels sprouts.
Right.
And then a salad, a caramel apple salad.
Ooh, that sounds delicious. So what do you want me to do
Well, we'll start
first?
off. Okay, if you could cut the both ends of these carrots off. And then get out the peeler then and just peel them off. I've already washed them off, but we didn't have to wash them off too well because we're going to be peeling off all that skin. Okay?
Yeah, I got it. How many do you want me to do?
Great. All of these would be good, yes.
Okay, so I'll do that.
Then this caramel apple salad.
Yes.
It's an idea I had. I recently got a crown that came loose once when I was eating a caramel apple this fall.
Really?
And yet I love caramel apples. It's a nice way for me to be a big boy and eat my fruits, my apples. Anyway, so I thought, well, I'll get some Granny Smith apples and I'll cut them into little wedges. Yeah. And I'll try to eat them. And I did, but I really wasn't that regular. They weren't that appealing to me.
They weren't?
So I came up with this great idea.
Okay.
I had some caramel sundae syrup already in my in my refrigerator. I don't really use it for sundaes, but I use it for caramel latte. Yeah, I like to make caramel.
You make caramel latte?
Sometime. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, so anyway, what I started doing then is I cut up the apple and then I squirted some of that caramel syrup on it. It wasn't as rich as a nice caramel apple. But then I thought, I had some pecans there. I thought, you know what, I'll have a couple of pecans. So then I started throwing it all on the plate together.
Yeah.
And I thought, I kind of like this. This is a salad for people that don't like salads. I don't know. There used to be lots of people that don't like salads. I think we've all gotten used to eating them now. But it's still nice. It's a nice treat. Some people might consider it more of a dessert.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds like it's really good. And I have to tell you, I told you before the show that I started, I saw a recipe that I really, really liked, right? Mm-hmm. And actually, what happened was I didn't have all the ingredients, okay? So what do you think I did? I did the same thing, Father.
Improvised.
I improvised. And this is a sweet potato casserole, but you use graham cracker crumbs. Ooh, on top. And so I'm going to be making that, which is really good. And actually, instead of having turkey, Father, guess what I'm going to make? I am going to make a pumpkin, pork in a pumpkin. It's called pig in a pumpkin.
Pig in a pumpkin.
So you use pork shoulder or pork butt in it. Try to go find that. That's sometimes fun. And so anyhow, I practiced last night, and guess what? It turned out pretty darn good. I couldn't believe it. And I didn't even have the right, type of pork. So actually, you know what you need for it, Father? You need pumpkins that you would make pumpkin pie with.
Oh, okay. So the special ones, you can't just get the ones.
You don't want to use the ornamental ones.
No. Okay, the front porch ones aren't doing it, huh?
No.
Okay.
So that one's done, Father.
Okay, and then what I'm going to do, again, this isn't very complicated here, so I'm going to go ahead and show this off. I'm going to get a little plate.
Yeah.
But anyway, as you see, I have 2 Granny Smith apples. cut into wedges, and then the wedges cut in half. Again, nothing rocket science about this. Then I have some pecans ready. But here, okay, my next move, though, is to take some of this caramel syrup, and you don't use nearly as much caramel as is on a caramel apple.
Really?
You know, because that's, you know, on a caramel apple, it's so thick, right?
Right.
So anyway, that's a little squirt there. That's for 2 whole apples. So that's probably a half apple's worth of caramel, really, if you have it the other way. And I know they put peanuts on caramel apples normally,
Yeah,
but pecans, it makes it a little bit more highbrow. But you could also put some chopped peanuts on it. But so I'm going to just chop the pecans a little bit.
Okay.
I've found, I tried having them whole on the thing because I was being lazy and didn't want to chop them up, and I really didn't like that effect as much. It's worth doing a little bit of chopping.
Right.
And what I've got here is, you know, so I've got the 2 apples. I guess I'm going to put in a little bit more than a 1/4 cup of chopped pecans then, okay? And oh, by the way, for the amount of caramel syrup, maybe 2 tablespoons. Although, again, if you like a lot more, put a lot more in. You know, it's a free country.
That's right.
Okay. God bless America and our freedoms.
Right. Whoops.
Okay, and I'll use this nice little scooper you have here.
Yeah, don't you love that?
I do, and I just noticed it has a measuring thing on it too. So
Of course.
get regular slices. Okay, and then since it's Thanksgiving, I thought let's make it even a little bit nicer here by throwing in some craisins, right? I always keep these. These are 30% less sugar craisins. So there we go. Now, believe me, that's a salad even people that don't like fruits and vegetables can eat.
Right.
Maybe I'm a big baby, but I like vegetables that don't taste like vegetables and fruits that have enough other stuff in them that I can't even tell I'm eating fruit. Okay, not necessarily, you know.
Right, I understand. That looks good, Father.
Well, thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
And our next phase, so this is a simple recipe. This will be, well, spoiler alert, everyone. It's going to be very simple. But it's, let's see, I'm going to saute these a little bit. Saute is the wrong word. I'm going to cook them a little bit in olive oil and butter.
Like blanching them, maybe?
Yeah, I guess that would be a good word. I'm getting them a little bit tender, but also, you know, covering the outside
You
of them.
still want to have a little bit of a crisp taste to it? Is that what you're telling me?
Crisp would be even stronger than, because with them we're going to kind of cook them. We're going to simmer them a while.
All right, so they taste great, right?
Yeah, they'll taste great. Again, back to me and the boy that doesn't want to eat his vegetables.
Yeah.
They'll taste great, and that's what's important to me.
So what did you like as a kid?
I don't know. It looks like I ate enough to grow up, didn't I? Okay, so anyway.
Now what are we going to do with those?
We're going to put them in a skillet, one of these beautiful skillets that you have.
Thank you.
And
360 ones, yeah, they're awesome.
they're wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to take
Your butter?
about 3
Olive
tablespoons of olive oil.
Right.
You know how scientific I am about that.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah, this is a lot of carrots, you know, a lot of big fat carrots
I
here.
know.
So
Do you want me to turn
it's not too obscene to turn that. Yeah, if you'll turn on the heat then, front or back, it doesn't matter.
Father, it's front.
Well, I guess whichever one has the pan on it. But I should have pan.
Okay, that's important.
Okay, yeah, I
Right.
learned that. That's the first thing I learned in cooking school.
To turn on the.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have to wear glasses pretty soon, Father.
Oh, you're getting a
Getting a
LASIK or something?
cataract surgery on both eyes. How about that?
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So anyway, I put 2 tablespoons. You know, there's eight to a stick, as you may know. As I would imagine the folks at home know that. If not, just read the side of this wax paper on the stick.
Right.
Anyway, so we'll let this melt a little bit. And then, so I'm going to toss these around a little bit then in the butter and olive oil. The neat thing, though, the olive oil might have a better coating property, you know, to be able to, because that's what we're doing is we're coating the vegetables.
Coating the vegetables.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then are you going to put salt and pepper? Or what
We're going to just do a dash of salt, and we'll use some of your kosher salt, doesn't matter which kind, just a dash. And then we'll put some molasses in, just a couple of tablespoons.
That sounds great, Father.
Yeah, and we'll let them simmer then in some water. We'll add a little water. We'll let them, so we have to keep watching that, because if it boils, you don't want them doing the backstroke. And yet, You don't want it to boil away either, otherwise they start getting too caramelized right away, you know.
Okay.
Caramelized being a nice cook's term for burnt, you know.
Burnt.
But
You don't want it to be burnt.
Exactly. So anyway, I'll make sure I've lined the skillet, especially where the screws go in, and see. Okay, so we're just, I mean, nothing too interesting going on here. We have just a little bit of visible butter left, so I'm now to the point where I think I can go ahead and do some of this. So here I go.
Oh, that was just perfect, Father, actually.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
The East German judge gave me a low score. Now remember that, you know, there'd always be a...
Right.
When there was an East Germany, it was now nach der Wende, after the turn, they're all together. Right. Anyway, so if I can have a skillet to kind of toss these around, we can do it the fancy way, but it's probably nicer with this many of them. I'll probably end up with some on the floor, but you will not believe how good. And then we're putting a little parsley in then at the end.
Oh, parsley.
But the parsley,
so I should get the parsley.
Yeah, some of it rinsed off. Maybe about, you know, not even a quarter of a bunch. Well, about a quarter of a bunch. Okay. Go ahead and rinse that off then.
All right, I'll do that now.
Boiling water here, ready to go for the kale. It's boiling very rigorously. And what? I do want a little salt in that. I'll salt the carrots real quick. And, you know, not even, not much more than, you know.
How much do you want?
A quarter teaspoon of salt at most. Maybe about twice as much as that.
Okay.
Oh, that parsley smells so good.
Okay.
And here is our kale. You know, nothing. I really think it's a better buy if you've got a grocery store that sells this kale. Instead of trying to buy a bunch of little bunches,
right.
This is already cleaned and it's already cut. You'll want to cut it a little bit more than this, but actually you don't need to. But see, when you can see a big stem there, it's kind of nice to take that off. Okay, looking at the abundance of carrots here.
Yeah.
I didn't put in quite a quarter teaspoon, and I think I'm going to make sure I've got a full quarter teaspoon of salt here. So I've just done another little round. Again, it happens to be kosher salt, but any salt you got's fine. Okay, and so we will now cook some of the kale. I'm not going to cook this whole bag.
All right, Father.
At the moment, I'm going to use this towel, if that's okay.
That's fine. That's what it's there for.
Okay. And there's 2 steps to cooking the kale.
Okay, tell us what it is.
So I've got boiling water now with salt in it.
Yeah.
First we boil, then we saute. You know what? This is a pretty good batch of this as far as stems go. It's not too bad. I see one here, though. See, this would constitute way too big. You don't want that in there.
You don't want that. So you want to give it to me?
Piece there that I have there. I'm inspecting the rest of the kale. You can have a little bit here and there. It really isn't bad, but you just don't want these big, what I call Jack and the Beanstalk like stuff. It's amazing. I only have the water up to about here, about a third of the way.
Yeah.
And this kale, it looks like how am I ever going to get that kale in there? Yeah. And then it turns out, hey, it's no problem. And it cooks very quickly. I'm going to put one more little handful in, and then we're done with the kale for the moment. Okay, so watch. See, here's how it starts off. And then watch here. I'll just turn this like this, and almost as soon as the water hits it, and it starts to get a little bit of a kale smell, which I don't think is a very nice smell.
You don't like kale smell?
No, but we'll take care of that in a moment. Again, this is vegetables for people who don't like vegetables. Now, it'll get a little bit more tender, which is nice, I think. Okay, that is done then. That I will now turn off that burner. I'm going to stir this around one more time.
And you need a colander, right, to get rid of all that?
Right.
That's right.
As you see, I've used about half the bag.
Yeah, you're going to add more?
Yeah, I've got that colander. Yeah, I'm just for the heck of it, just to show how quickly, it might make a certain inconsistency in it, but that doesn't bother me. Believe me, this is going to be buried so much, I won't even know it's a vegetable by the time I'm done.
So I have the colander right here, Father.
Okay, I'm going to just turn it under one more time. We'll leave it another 15 seconds. Well, which is just conveniently the amount of time I need for this. Okay, now I'm going to, so I might have overdone it. I probably could have done a little less butter or a few more carrots, They're kind of a little bit swimming in there, but that's okay. And then what I'll now do is take some molasses, just general, nothing fancy about it.
Okay.
And then, here, I'll
You want a
go over
spoon,
here by the
Father?
producer. No, thank you.
Okay.
By the time I use a spoon for molasses, I find it makes such a mess that, I might as well just have poured. And it's all on the wrist. Now watch what I do at the end here with my wrist. There we go. And you might say, hey, where's the sugar with that? So it's not a lot. I'd say put in less than a tablespoon of molasses there.
Okay. Okay.
And if you like it heavier, that's fine. Now you might say, oh, do we need some sugar too? No, the sugar is in the carrots.
Is in the carrot, right.
So no problem there. Okay, now I'm cooking this kale a little bit longer, and I'm not freaking out because of it, because it's no big deal. I mean, we don't want to make the whole house smell like kale, though.
I can't smell it, Father, actually.
That would give it away to all the children and all the men that don't want to eat vegetables. Okay, and then I need a little glass or a cup or something to throw some water in.
Okay, pardon me, Father.
So look at these things cooking.
Do you want
The
some
longer you
water?
cook them, I cooked them a little bit longer in the skillet first than I was going to. And they're starting to get a very wonderful smell to them. We just want to get this right on in here. How much? Nothing scientific here. About a cup, maybe a little bit more. Because again, this is going to be boiling away.
Okay.
So now I've got enough so that, they're swimming a little bit here, but not bad. So that was less than a cup there.
Do you want to put a top on it?
And yes, and so this is our moment where we put the top on it.
Do you want me to put a lower fire, Father?
Yes, please. Just a little bit. Okay, and then we have our colander ready to go. And I have my ersatz, whatchamacallit here. Better than burning my hands, I'll just go ahead and pour this in.
Do you need a bowl for the carrots?
Yeah, that would be nice. And although normally, I sauteed them more or cooked them in the oil longer than I would. And of course, that cooks them much more quickly than the steaming does. So they've been on for a little bit. Normally, I would steam them for about 20 to 25 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Today, we need a little less than that. But I just put the parsley in the last 5 minutes or so. So I'm just going to move these over here. If we can get the Brussels sprouts, though, we can go ahead and start working on those.
All right, just a minute. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back on The Chef You and I with Father Andrew Umberg and Kathryn Raaker. We are back on The Chef You and I with Father Andrew Umberg and myself, Kathryn Raaker. And I have to tell you that I can smell garlic, right? But that's all right, Father. I'm not. I will make it myself in another situation, and that's fine. So, what's the first thing you're going to do, Father?
Well, first thing before we're going to do the Brussels sprouts and the next phase for the kale. First, we're going to go ahead and put in our parsley. The carrots have been now boiling for around 15 minutes.
Right, go ahead.
Simmering. You'll see they're kind of at a rather rigorous boil. And look at me put in that parsley. We might have been a little generous on the parsley there, but it's okay. But see, look at how it boils, and it's, well, I can stop boiling as much here, but we had lots of bubbles here. And watch me just turn this around. See, now this adds a lot of color to it. It'll get a little bit darker green.
Yes.
But that's okay.
Okay.
It's still kind of pretty, isn't it? It looks like...
It looks beautiful.
Just lots of color there. And we'll see how much of the color is there at the end. Okay.
Leave that on for now.
Okay, we'll leave it on about another 10 minutes, maybe a little less than that.
Okay, well, let me put this top
And
on.
see, it's 5 carrots look like a lot at first, but they do cook down a tiny bit or something there.
Yeah,
it looks
I know.
different, yes.
Okay, so that's on there.
Okay, so next phase will be our kale now, cooking our kale.
Oh, you got it right,
so we're
Father.
putting that, yeah,
Whoa.
yeah, I'm learning this, right?
Do you want me to start cutting these up for you?
Oh, that would be great, yes.
Okay.
So
just cut the nubs off.
We bought washed Brussels sprouts in a bag like the kale, and we'll cut the nubs off. And see, these are all Whoppers, right?
Right.
So we're going to cut them. I would normally just cut them in half, but these are so big, we'll cut them in half vertically, then again vertically, so they'll be quartered. Most of them,
So
these big Whoppers will be quartered.
Like this? Like this?
Okay, you've cut off the nub on
Yes,
the bottom,
yes,
right?
I
That's
did.
toward your thumb, yes.
Yes.
Then yeah, you would do that, yes. And if you get, you know, you want to keep some of those nice dark green leaves outside, but if they look a little bit, you know, dirty or a little bit like they're kind of a little bit over-ripened, you just go ahead and let those fall off and throw it off in a little garbage off to your side there, okay?
Mm-hmm. This looks good.
Yeah, I think that needs a double though. Only something this small will we only cut in half. See,
So you
there's a
do it
couple
like
little
this,
ones,
right?
and all these big ones. So first the nub off the bottom.
I
And
did
then,
that.
Yeah, and then 2 vertical cuts, yes.
Is that good?
Wonderful. If you
Okay.
just keep them piling right there.
Okay, I will.
Okay, so we get this, we have this thing heating up plenty here. So what I'll do here now is the second step for the kale. For the second step for the kale, I'm going to put in, you saw I put about a half bag of kale in, and I'm going to put in about 2 or 3 tablespoons of olive oil, just extra virgin olive oil. And then we'll also put in some garlic, a good teaspoon of chopped garlic, again, well, a heaping teaspoon. We're almost about at a tablespoon, really. We'll go a little less than that. I'll put some of that back in, but 2/3 of a tablespoon, so 2 teaspoons, we'll say, of garlic we've put in that pan now with the olive oil. Now, butter doesn't go with the kale, and when you're doing it this way, this is more of an Italian style that we're doing. So I'm letting the, you know, the garlic, the chopped garlic, it'll sizzle a little bit in there. We want to let it sizzle a little bit more. Okay, so I can hear that that garlic sizzling behind me as I take
Yeah.
out a couple of bigger stems. Again, if someone gets a stem, it's really not that bad.
Right.
Probably a little bit more fiber, why not, you know? Okay, and so I take our nice drained kale.
Yes.
I go over here to our beautifully sizzling
Garlic.
Oh gosh, that's smelling so good. And then I put it on in. And I use the hands God gave me to. Don't want to get those in that oil, but other than that, it's okay. Okay, look at this. Okay, I got to turn these carrots down a little bit more.
Yeah.
I turned it down to about 2 now. Yeah, once you get food, of course, boiling and then covered, you want to turn it down to simmer it. So, I'm starting then sauteing the kale, and it smells nice, doesn't it? Even though you can't eat that, it smells nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, Father, it smells nice. It's too
Okay.
bad. You know, I do for my family do garlic, but I just have to do a separate situation, as you know.
Yeah.
That's the way it
Okay,
goes.
see, yeah, and I've got a couple of stems, you know, bigger than I would want to put there. You know, you don't want to see those big, bright, white stems there, but you're going to have some no matter what. But, okay, and I'm going to really toss this around so you can start seeing that garlic everywhere. And I'm trying to make sure every piece of kale gets some nice garlicky oil on it, because that's what I want to taste myself. I don't want to taste I want to taste the kale maybe a little bit. Well, it's because I have to taste the kale. But what I'm really all about tasting is the oil, a little bit of salt, the garlic, and then the other great thing that makes vegetables miraculously good.
What?
Well, here, I'll do the salt real quick. Again, for this whole amount, I've got less than a 1/4 teaspoon. Okay, but crushed red peppers, the kind that you put on your pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, and here, I will generously put these in. How generously? I'd say it's about a half teaspoon. Half teaspoon, if you like it hotter, more is nice. So here, we'll show this again. And it's starting to really, I do like this kale this way. I mean, or at least I like everything around that kale, so I'll eat it. It's amazing, the kale cooked down tremendously when we boiled it.
Yes.
But when we're sautéing it here, it seems the volume even goes down further.
Really?
Yeah, I think, you know, what we're doing is taking some of that water that was on every leaf. It's kind of like going out and then I think the leaves even get a little bit smaller. And so now the kale,
Right.
look at this. I'm ready to turn this off.
I want to see that. Oh, wow.
Okay, so if you want, you know, so these big stems, if you're embarrassed about them, go ahead and take them out.
All right.
I've learned to, with enough,
You can handle
with
it.
enough oil and pepper, I'll eat anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Okay, looks really sweet, Father.
Thank you. Certainly, it looks like, but, and again, you'll find that the non-vegetable lovers, or the vegetable non-lovers, They might be skeptical at first, but once they taste that,
They'll love it, right?
they will. And you know what? It probably needs another little touch of salt here at the end.
Okay, that
Salt
looks
at
good.
the end does a lot.
Yeah.
I think it does more when you salt it at the end. I know it cooks into the food the other way, but for flavor,
Right.
yeah, I think you can use a lot less salt if you use very little while you're cooking
Right.
and just put it on at the end.
So are these all right for you, kid?
These are wonderful, thank you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean out this pan, although not very scrupulously. In fact,
We'll take a little break so that you can get that done, Father.
Okay.
We'll take a little break and we'll be right back with Father Andrew Umberg and Kathryn Raaker. We'll be right back.
Yes.
We're back on The Chef You and I with Father Andrew Umberg and you and Kathryn Raaker. And what we're going to do is you're going to cut a what?
I'm going to cut up an onion here.
Okay.
We're going to have some minced onion. It doesn't have to be too finely minced, but another thing you can do if you want to do it the lazy way is just put in some instant onion flakes, that type of thing. In fact, most of the time when I'm making it at home, I do it that way. But this is Thanksgiving's. Anyway,
So now what are you doing first?
Okay, so I put in about 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of butter, because we have a lot there. And then I've got, about a 1/4 cup of onion here.
Yeah.
A 1/3 cup of chopped onion. Chopped on the way to being minced, but,
Right.
doesn't matter. So anyway, I'm going to mix this around a little bit.
Right.
Okay.
Looks good.
And then now we'll go
want
ahead
these?
and, yes, if you want to use your scoop, that's
I've got
fine. Okay, good.
Right?
Nature's own scoop, our hands.
Our hands. And my hands are good because I have gloves on.
Well, there you go.
Because just easier. I
Sure.
just dropped something. Don't worry about that.
But nothing's going to survive that oil, believe me. And then
Right.
if they survive the oil, it won't survive the steam, I don't think.
Oh, okay. Whatever. So
But,
anyhow.
okay, so now we have onion, butter, olive oil. I'm going to put a little bit of salt in here. And
Do you need
these are
some
gonna have
salt?
to cook for a while.
Here you go, Father.
If I had a time machine, I think I'd cut some more of these even smaller.
Here you go, Father.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
So I'll salt them slightly. About it looks like a lot's coming out, but it's not too bad there. Okay. And then I'm gonna move these around a little bit here. Okay, you can tell they're blanching some now. Even as I'm sautéing them, but they're turning that kind of light, bright green color. The thing is, we got to get it to the point that they scorch. But again, I put all that oil. The more oil and butter you put in, the longer it takes them to scorch. But then, the more flavor you got once they do scorch.
And why is it important to scorch, Father?
It adds some flavor to them.
Okay.
It just, again, that caramelizing, it definitely adds some flavor. And when roasted Brussels sprouts are all the rage now, there's just something that happens when you get a vegetable to a certain temperature.
That's beautiful.
It releases
Look at how
the sugars, or it does caramelizes the sugars, I guess is the word that we want to use.
Right.
Yeah, isn't that nice? It's nice and bright. Now for Thanksgiving, this would be a very nice vegetable just the way they are.
Right.
We could put them in like this, but what I would like to do is I like to put hoisin sauce. But again, it would seem like a very real Thanksgiving if you didn't put on the hoisin sauce. But we wait till the end to put that in.
Okay, so I'm going to give it back to you.
Okay, good deal, thank
All
you.
right.
Okay, and I'm going to just toss these around. See, these behave very nicely when I do this with a skillet. Look at this.
Yeah, you love doing
It's
that.
like they were just born to do that.
You want me to put that into the...
Yes, if you go ahead and put that into our carrot bowl, any direction you want to do it, and you can just use this,
Okay, thank you.
get a little bit oniony, but it won't hurt
That's
anything.
all right.
If it's okay, I'm going to lift it so they kind of slide in with their juice on them.
Let's do that, if you don't mind. It's hot, Father.
Okay.
Okay. These pans, sorry. These pans actually, when you turn the heat off, they seal. So you have to turn the heat on again to get them to unseal, because that's the vapor lock.
Ah.
Okay, I got a couple carrots down there.
Parsley there.
Okay, hold on.
Last little bit.
And there's one little carrot. Okay, got it.
And we have one little piece of Brussels sprout that's the wrong color.
Really?
And I'm going to do this
Right.
carefully and quickly.
Okay, I'm going to put these over here, Father.
Okay.
All right,
And then we're
wow.
going to toss this around a little bit more.
Okay.
See, I'm starting to get a little scorching. See that little bit of scorching there?
That's exactly right.
That's adding a lot of flavor to it.
Okay, do you want this back?
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
All right.
Yeah, good
Got
deal.
one.
So look at this. So
Wow.
wonderful, wonderful. Got a little carrot in there, but it's not going to hurt
Who
anybody.
cares, right?
And again, sometimes the leaves get really dark when they're scorched. But you can see I've getting a lot of scorching going on there.
Yeah, you do. And how long do you think you cook that, Father?
Well, they've been sauteing, I'd say, for a solid 5 minutes now, because this is a big batch. Also, again, if they were smaller Brussels sprouts or if they were all quartered, it would make the cooking process go a little bit faster, but that's fine this way.
All right.
It'll still be very nice. Okay, so, I'm going to let this sit here, and then I'm going to get my trusty water glass. And we're going to pour just a little bit of water into here to get them steaming. So you hear that, you see that bubbling going on.
Right.
Now we're making sure that, where the oil couldn't get,
Right.
that steam and that water is getting up into there, making sure they're heated all the way through.
Right.
Okay?
And then it'll
'Cause you want
scorch it a
that.
little bit more too, right?
Yeah, and the main thing though is to conduct those flavors, that nice oniony, buttery flavor. It gets it in there. See, and they're turning even lighter now, as you see.
Yeah, I do see that.
Okay, now while we still have a little bit of liquid left, we're going to pour some hoisin sauce on. I think we're going to put in about 2 tablespoons here. This is a nice thick hoisin sauce. About 2 tablespoons, And again, you can put in more. But the nice thing now with this water is, see, that's going to dilute it, and now we're going to get hoisin sauce then going into every crevice of these Brussels sprouts, which is what we
that's
want.
beautiful.
Yeah, see how?
Yeah, it looks really cool now. Okay.
Okay, and I'd say,
You ready to plate it?
yeah, we can go ahead and plate it now. We might want to normally cook it a little bit longer, but for today, I think we're done. You just stay steady there.
I'm not going anywhere, Father.
Okay.
All right. That looks delicious.
See, and I can still see the little pieces of onion,
Right.
which is nice, in my opinion. And I like every leaf out, Again, very
Yeah.
different from when I was a kid. Okay.
Okay, so
That
then
looks
you have.
beautiful.
Now, this, Father, is for our Thanksgiving show. And I'm so excited because here's all the vegetables that you can have that are simple to make, that are healthy for you. I want to say that actually you have to run. I heard.
I do.
I want to thank you for coming today and giving this wonderful vegetable piece to our show, our Thanksgiving show. And I want to thank you again. And if you want to get these recipes, Father, you go to thechefyouandI.com. We'll be right back after these important messages on Kathryn Raaker's The Chef You and I for the rest of the Thanksgiving feast. We are back on The Chef You and I, and Father had an appointment, so I am finishing the show with pig in a pumpkin, and also we're going to have our sweet potato casserole, which is very, very different. That's what we're having for Thanksgiving dinner. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to cut our pork shoulder or pork butt up into small pieces. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put it into a bowl and add all the spices and cover it. And then put flour on it. We're going to dust flour on it, and then we're going to fry it and brown it on either side about 3 minutes each. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to cut our pork up into those pieces. And so this is a pork butt. So we're going to cut this up like that. We want to do that. Or you could have the butcher do it, but I get a big piece of it, which is really good. And it's about 3 pounds. So there. All right. And I see how easy this is to cut. And you want that fat, but not a lot of fat. I'm going to use a different knife that's a little stronger. So I'm going back here and get this knife because I'm getting into some fatty parts of the pork, and that's what I need to do, is use it. And so if you see a lot of fat, right, you want to cut that fat off. All right, we want to cut that off. Okay. And then cut them into pieces like that. I'll get rid of that. All right. And sometimes you'll find with this type of butt that you're going to have a lot of fat. You want some fat, but not all of it. So that's it. So now I'm going to keep on cutting. Seems like a lot, doesn't it? But it's going to make the most tender pork you've ever tasted. And I kind of found part of the recipe online, but I changed it because I don't like some of the spices they used, and I like to do it a different way. So we're cutting this. And like I said, you can have the butcher cut this for you if you want, but I prefer doing it myself. So you see a lot of fat there, right? So you're going to cut that fat off, and that's all going to go into this pumpkin that my producer actually cleaned out for us, and we'll talk about that in a minute as well, and we'll show it, because what you want to see is how it was cut at the top, and then the top is going to be the lid of it. Okay, and we only have this piece left to cut. All right, so there's our meat. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is actually put this into my thing over here, because I don't need this, right? And I'm going to get a bowl out. So just a second. And in this bowl, I'm going to put the meat. All right, all of the meat. And I might even trim that a little. That's a little big. Okay. Right. Okay, so let's put the meat in there, and then we're going to put all the seasonings, and I'm going to go through that with you. Okay. So put that in there. All right. So the next step is to put all of our ingredients that are dry in here. So the first thing you're going to do, we've already cut up our pork. We're going to put 1 tablespoon of kosher salt. Okay, that's 1 tablespoon. Looks like a lot, but it really isn't. And then you want to work that in it. Now you can do this overnight and, let it be in the refrigerator, put some parchment paper over the top of it, and let it do it. But since we don't have a lot of time now, we're just going to go ahead and do it. So actually I'm going to add the cayenne pepper, which is, let's see, I have about a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper in there. And then what I'm going to add is fennel seed, which I have 1 tablespoon of fennel seed. All right. I have parsley, which I love. Okay. And then I have ground pepper. That is about 2 tablespoons. And if you love pepper, you can actually add more. And then I have fresh rosemary. So I want to take out the stems. But you can use dried, this is thyme. I'm sorry, we already did rosemary. This is thyme, okay, because I had some fresh thyme. And then, right, I'm going to mix this all up, right, and I'm going to add to that, actually, I'm going to add some flour. So we've got a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of thyme, 1 tablespoon of crushed fennel seed. We have 1 tablespoon of, I use dried rosemary. And then I'm going to put some shallots in here as well. And then what we're going to do is we're going to mix some of the flour. I've used 3 tablespoons here for this, so because there's a lot of meat here. So you may not have to even use that much, okay? That's probably 2 tablespoons right there. So you want to mix this in together like I'm doing right now so it's really covered. And if it's not covered, then just use some more flour like I'm doing because I want it to get coated. All right, and then I'm going to put some shallots in here. Okay, and see, look at that. Now that's way too much fat there. And now we're going to cut, I'm going to take half of the shallots and cut them fine, like that. And I like shallots, so I'm going to put more than you think in here. But then I'll save these other ones to put into the pumpkin itself. Okay, so I'm going to put these in, right? So these are thinly sliced, right? And just make them into rings because what's going to happen when we fry it, right? It's going to do that. So we're going to heat the pan up, right? And then we'll save this one. I'll eat a little bit. No, that's fine. We're going to now take a little short break and we'll be right back on Kathryn Raaker's The Chef You and I, and I'll put the butter and the olive oil into the pan. I'll be right back. We're back on The Chef You and I. Now we're going to brown our meat, and I'm actually, you're only going to brown it like 3 minutes on every side, but we got quite a bit of meat here, so we're getting ready to put the meat in. All right. And I've used butter and olive oil in this. Okay. All right. And, all right. So you want to brown it on both sides. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up the rest of the shallot, right? And, you know, you could use more than 1 shallot because I happen to like the taste of shallots. I don't know about you, but they're so good in anything that you do. You could put carrots in it if you wanted to, but you can't really make the pumpkin so full that you can't put the top on, and that's the trick of it. It takes a good 4 hours for it to brown, and you want to baste it because it gives it a shiny look to it when you're done. Here's your pumpkin, and you're going to cut the pumpkin, but we already did for the purpose of our show. Our producer did it for us, and so you want a pumpkin that's about the size of a soccer ball. And these are not the type of pumpkins that you put out to decorate your house. These are for pumpkin pie. So actually, when this whole thing is done, you're going to be able to cut some of the pumpkin and serve it like we are going to show you how to do it. We are back now, and I want you to come up close with the camera so you can see what this is supposed to look like. And it's supposed to be browned like this. And you want to make sure you get it browned, right? And so you want to get it brown on both sides. So about, I'd say 3 to 4 minutes on this, all right? And then after I do this, I'll do the second batch, and then we'll start putting it into the pumpkin itself, all right? And believe it or not, all this meat's going to fit in there. That's the amazing thing about it. All right. So, and these are our 360 pans, which I absolutely love. And they're so easy to clean and so easy to work in. All right, because you saw Father using it before. So we're going to just stop this, and we're going to bring our pumpkin over, okay? And we're going to put it right here. And I'm going to put these in to the pumpkin. 1, 2. And if the camera can see this like this, you can see how we're doing it. And you really need to clean the pumpkin out. really well. And then this will go in here, right? And it's all going to fit so easily. So we'll be back in a second. We'll do our second batch of meat. And when we get that done, we'll be back. We'll be right back. We're back on the Chef You and I. Our pumpkin is full of meat, which I want to show you. And I've got some parsley in there. I'm going to add a little bit more pepper and more shallots to it because I love shallots. And we're adding more pepper. And then I'm going to take this right here and I'm going to add the shallots on the top, okay? Because I think that gives it a really nice thing. And just put a little bit more pepper, okay? And now what we're going to do is actually, now we pour in, once we put it into the pan, our apple cider. Then I added a little wine to it because I didn't have hard cider. So you can do whatever you want. If you don't want to have that in there, you don't, just use apple cider. So we're going to take our pan, which we've sprayed, okay? We're going to put our pumpkin in it. Then we're going to add our apple cider. That's about, I'm not going to use a whole 2 cups, okay? I'm just going to use about that much. Maybe a little bit more. But you don't want to put so much liquid in there, right, that it starts bubbling and comes out. So I'm going to wipe up that apple cider right there, okay, because it's going to naturally come out into the pan, okay? So we're going to put the top on. Wait a minute. Right, there it is. And we're going to put this into a 350-degree oven that we preheated, okay? And don't worry, just check on it every once in a while. It takes about 4 hours in the pumpkin, okay? So we'll put this in the oven, and we'll be right back. We'll be making our wonderful yam or sweet potato casserole my way. We'll be right back. We are back on the Chef You and I, and we're making my famous, wonderful sweet potato, pineapple, and apple casserole. This is so different. You're going to really love it. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to chop up our pecans. And this is one of the easiest ways you can do it. And I love doing it like this because it takes very little time to do it. And hold on. Okay, we're going to chop those up. A little bit. That's fine. Or no, I'm not quite done yet. Okay, so we chop those up. They look good. So we'll leave those aside. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our butter, 4 tablespoons of butter, into our a cup. And we're going to put it in the microwave and we're going to melt it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to wait for that, but we're going to put our can, which we drained all the liquid of a 40-ounce can of Bruce yams, okay? And we are going to take and we're going to mash those, okay, while the butter is doing its number. And we're going to mash them. So let's move this out of the way because that's our casserole dish. And you want to mash them just like you would mash potatoes, right? What next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your actual butter that was melted, and hopefully it's melted by now. It is. So we're going to add this along with your brown sugar into the mashed potatoes, right? Or the mashed yams. You're going to add the butter and the brown sugar, right? And you're going to mix that really well with it until you get it totally encased into the sweet potatoes, right? And, which is going to be absolutely delicious. It turns the sweet potatoes a little bit, you know, the orange goes away a little bit, and you have that beautiful brown sugar in there, right? And you want to do that until you get them all mashed. And then we're going to cut up our apple, because we're going to add apple, and we're going to add also, we're going to fold in the pineapple juice right now, which is right here. Pour that in there. Okay, so the next thing after this is, since we've done that, we're going to add our apples into it, right? And we're going to add our cinnamon. We're going to add our cinnamon and our pumpkin pie spice. All right, that's in there. That's a combination of both. And then we're going to add in our honey. Hold on a second. You're going to fold in 2 tablespoons of honey. And this is a brand new bottle. There we go. Now it's coming out. Okay, so you want to put that honey in there. Right. And one more. All right. And then you want to add in your pineapple. Right. And your dates. Right. A little bit more of this. All right. And we're going to mix it all together. We actually sprayed some Pam in there, okay? And now what we're going to do is we're going to put our casserole, we're going to add this, and then we're going to, on the very top, we're going to put the graham cracker crust, or graham crackers, right? It'll have a little nice top to it with the nuts. How about that? And then you're going to microwave this, which is really nice. And then we'll add our graham crackers and also our nuts. So we're going to put this, let's do this like this. All right, and then great. Might put a little bit of butter on the top of this. And let's put the nuts on top. And you want to put about 1/3 of a cup of pecans. All right. So this is just about 1/3 of a cup. And then I'll add some melted butter to the top of this. It'll be delicious. We had this the other night, and actually, my husband loved it. So that's about all you need. These are so simple. These ingredients are really simple. I just need to put some more melted butter on top of here. How about that? So, see how simple that was? Look at how beautiful that is. It's going to look like that. We're going to add a little bit of butter to it. We're going to put it in the microwave, and it'll be finished. And then we can serve it with our rest of our Thanksgiving dinner. Okay? We'll be right back. We are back on Kathryn Raaker's The Chef You and I, and now we have our Thanksgiving treat. And actually, it took about 3.5 hours in this beautiful pumpkin to do pig in a pumpkin. We have mashed potatoes. We have Kathryn's casserole, actually sweet potato casserole or yam casserole with pineapples and apples and dates. And we have this beautiful piece right here and wonderful gravy. So I want you to be able to see me taking this off the lid, right? And actually we steamed some of the Brussels sprouts, right? And then here is the beautiful, wonderful, and I'm going to put it in here so you can see it. This is the pork that we did. It looks gorgeous, actually. And we're going to serve that with some potatoes, right? And we'll take that out. Okay, we don't need that right now. And I'm going to plate this on the plates. We're going to take and put this beautiful pork onto the plate right there. And it is so tender. I've already tasted it. It's beautiful, right? And then I have some gorgeous gravy to put on it. And we're going to take some of the mashed potatoes that we have right here and right here. All right. Hold on. Okay. And then we'll put a little gravy. Oh, and don't forget the wonderful yams and pecans with pineapple, right? And we'll put a few green, wonderful green Brussels sprouts right there. 1, 2. Oh, that looks good. 3, so that gives it a really pretty color. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to get a little thing right here because we want it to look so beautiful on Thanksgiving. And here we go. I'm going to pour some gravy over it, and it's finished. I'm so thrilled. It came out so wonderful. And that's apples and onions. So we're going to pour a little bit of the gravy over it. All right, and on the thing. And that is our Thanksgiving dinner. We want to thank 360 Pans for all the help that they get. I want to thank Father Andrew Umberg for his appearance today and making the healthy vegetables that he did. He did the kale with garlic. He did the Brussels sprouts. He did the candied apple salad. And he did the wonderful, wonderful carrots that were so beautiful with parsley. And we want to say happy Thanksgiving to all of you and to 360 Pans. And we want to say bon appetit and happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for joining us on the Chef You and I Show today. We'll be back next week with another great and healthy recipe. Don't forget to visit our website, thechefyouandi.com, for all of our featured recipes, cooking tips, and clips of the show.